It's Ksenia Miabragilowski, and it's Friday, April 10th. I wanted to um, draft this video or draft the message that I wanted to upload to my public, well, it's private YouTube channel, but I can always make it unlisted. In any ways, I wanted to record it now since I'm thinking about it and it concerns my life to a great extent, my life, my health, my everything, my very being. So, not to sort of dwell on it for too long, I believe that I am a product of in vitro manipulation that was performed on my mother sometime in 1984, because I was born December 13, 1984. So she must have been tampered with sometime in March of 1984. For those of you who don't know my original story, my background, I'm currently in Canada, but I was brought to Canada by my mother. And over the past several days, I was piecing together all of the data points and information, facts, guesses, beliefs that I could think about, I can pull together, again, based on everything I learned myself. I knew, I sensed, I discovered, I found out about my mother, my father, and effectively, my father is just a sperm donor. He is a sperm donor. I don't believe that my mother, after having had gone through everything that she's gone through, and I know what she's gone through because to some extent I've gone through the same thing. To some extent, to a much lesser, much more sort of tolerable extent. I've gone through the grief, the rejection, the sort of feeling like you are less than you need to be, or you need to show up to the society. So anyway, after having had been put down and humiliated in a very crude ways by small white men who lived in Tashkent city, Uzbekistan, throughout the post-war years, which is what, the 50s, 60s, 70s, the 80s. Tashkent city was still a republic of the greater USSR, so majority of population was speaking Russian. There were a lot of Russian men and women residing in Tashkent city, and my mother, she is coming from a family of Ukrainian Jews with a complicated history. Anyway, so after everything, what my point, my most important point that I want to vocalize in this video is that there is no way, and only females will understand me, only females will understand this point. There is no way my mother could have conceived me naturally after having had been effectively raped once, two times, abortion, and I believe this abortion was crude. It was what, 79, 80s, from what I remember me asking her and discovering in the health data booklet. that we had in our home. She had an abortion in 1979 or 1980. After having been raped, after having been poisoned, brought to the hospital, maimed in the hospital under the pretense of appendicitis operation. It wasn't an appendicitis operation. She failed to tell her parents, my grandmother and my grandfather, that she was raped, that she was forced to give a blowjob. I'm gonna call everything by what it's called. Give a blowjob to some douchebag. Most likely, it was a Russian man, one of those scumbags that look nice, all healthy, and they think themselves kings because they are in Tashkent city. There are so many Jewish, Tatar, Uzbek women from Ukraine who idolized them. There was a cult of Russian men, and you can imagine after World War II, most of the normal, physically able, mentally healthy Russian men were slaughtered. Only few physiologically and psychologically healthy individuals left behind, and those were highly prized, so to speak. So those scumbags, the leftover small Russian men, behaved in this way. It behaved in the way that was unbecoming of male gender. I myself was exposed to on the street. There were multiple incidents of those small, tiny Russian men not feeling empowered enough, putting females down, assaulting females. And again, I reiterate the fact that I am 99.9% sure that she was raped by such an individual sometime before her appendicitis operation, which was what, 1977, 1978. Okay, she was 16, 17. She failed to tell about that to her mother and her father, or her father, and those who were the sort of the guardian angels. Okay, we all know about those people who know everything, hear everything, look upon everyone from up above and do nothing about nothing. Those people must have poisoned her through drink or food, brought her to the hospital, told her that she had an appendicitis that needs to be cut out. So she was put down through, I don't know, local anesthesia or general anesthesia. I don't know at that time how complicated it was to perform appendicitis operation, but she was maimed. There was no appendicitis. She must have swallowed whatever she was forced to swallow. And so this was like a scarlet letter on her stomach, indicating that she is stained. She is rotten now. She is not pure anymore. Okay, that was the scarlet letter for those of you who read the book by English author, I don't remember, Hawthorne, Daniel Hawthorne, or I think so. Scarlet letter. That was the mark on her abdomen indicating that she is no longer pure. She is violated. Okay, so this was a crude operation. So first of all, rape, then poisoning, then bringing her to the hospital and maiming her purposefully. After that, that was not it. She goes through an abortion because obviously, I don't know, we didn't have education, sex education. Like nothing was known. I'm pretty sure she didn't even know what orgasm is, was sex, intercourse, how babies get conceived, what you need to feel for the person, how it's all set up. So she must have had sex with some Russian dude, got pregnant, and he told her to fuck off. So she went and did a crude abortion, 1979, in Tashkent city, Uzbekistan. You can imagine what kind of shit she must have gone through. And then there was a marriage to my sperm donor father in January 1981. From January 1981 through the first, I don't know what, 9 months or so, she could not conceive. Understandably so, because females, and only females will understand me, going through so much violence in her life, mistreatment by Russian male representative, so to speak. Not to mention that her mother, my grandmother, is an orphan herself. So she wasn't growing up with her mommy and daddy. She was growing up in an adopted family. She didn't have the knowledge, luxuries, and understanding either of what parental control and care and attention is all about. And my grandfather is tainted himself. And now I'm thinking back about what he said, how he behaved. He must have felt like a bastard child, because his mother was officially married to a Jewish guy, like dark-skinned, dark-haired guy. But my grandfather is blue-eyed with pale red fair skin. So she must have had conceived him with Russian Ukrainian, because she at that time she lived in Ukraine, Kremenchug, Ukraine. So I assume it was either Russian or Ukrainian guy she had an intercourse with, conceived my grandfather, and she was still married, legally, officially married to a Jewish guy. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I mean, with the physiology of a person quite visibly Sabra Jewish, very Jewish, very dark skinned, very dark haired. And that's it. She was left. One went to war. The second probably got disappeared. And she was left with my grandfather, who must have felt like a bastard child his whole life, because he didn't have a father. His mother was officially married. I don't think they even divorced, because the war started and he went to war and got missing, got killed, whatever. All of them got killed and missing, okay? And plenty of women ended up with babies on their hands. Some from multiple different men of different ethnic profiles, okay? But my grandmother had only one child. And my grandfather looked very much white, very white, blue eyes, dark blonde hair, and very light skin. He couldn't even tan. He would get sunburned right away. So he must have felt like there was no father figure in his life, and he was a bastard child, effectively a Russian word to bludek or whatever. So this whole background obviously was inflicted upon my mother, because she is the firstborn between the two of them. One is a complete orphan coming from an orphanage, adopted family, and my grandfather with just his mother present in his life. And I believe my mother was, I remember she felt like she did not get the parental love, care, and support at any point. And I must agree with her, because what my grandmother and my grandfather went through was not conducive to a normalcy in parental relationships with her. There was no normalcy. It was all, I don't know, rough time, and they didn't have the background. They didn't know what it was all about. Family, what? Luxury, okay? Love and attention and care. No, you go to work. You earn your salary, you come, you eat, you sleep, like very basic necessities are met and provided, and that was it. So my mother was very much lacking love, care, and support from her father and my grandfather. As far back as I can remember, she always lacked that. presence, and my grandfather, always favored his son, the younger brother of my mother, Edward. And so, with all this psycho-emotional background, I don't know, she somehow fell through the cracks. I feel like she just fell through the cracks. Not only she did not have capable parents, and I believe she was of an average intelligence in terms of social intelligence, in terms of psycho-emotional intelligence, average at best. I'm not talking about mathematical abilities or ability to, read books and get formal education. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being somehow tainted, humiliated, raped, misused, mistreated throughout her first 16, 17 years of life, 18 years of life. And then with this baggage, she's going into a marital relationship, formal legal marital relationship with the sperm donor, aka my biological father. I cannot even call him a father because he was never present in my life. There's no way she conceived, had an orgasm, had an understanding of what sex and sexual pleasure is all about. There was no such thing. No such thing. I think she was just so delusional. She saw a healthy white male resembling her father, only bigger, stronger, better, younger. And obviously she wanted it. And she behaved accordingly. And the penalty for such behavior, for being gluish, for being needy, for being sort of overly flirtatious, was the scarlet letter, the maiming, the poisoning, the abortion, and all of the helpers, the medical staff in Tashkent City, Uzbekistan, needs to be executed in international criminal courts, quite literally, because they were either asked or paid to first maim my mother, poison her, drag her to the hospital, maim her under the false pretense of appendicitis operation. Okay, the scar is there. The scar is horrible. It was intentional maiming. There was no appendicitis. It was intentional maiming. She had a scar just botched on her stomach. Then abortion, crude abortion. I know how they operated. They were helping the underprivileged, which was my mother's family, in the eyes of the Russians. And who are the Russians in Tashkent City? They were not even Russians. They were mixed breeds with Tatars, with the Jewish people, with Uzbeks, Uyghur, Ukrainians, you name it. Those were not intelligent aristocratic Russian people. Oh, no. Those were scam, trash bags who felt empowered, were surrounded by like-minded people, empowered and paid most likely with favors or some other non-monetary means to teach frivolous women like my mother at that time, but I cannot call her frivolous because it's all how society shapes a human being. At that time, she fell through the cracks completely. There was no social security. There was no parental control. She was being raised in a family by completely incapable parents, okay, coming from where they are coming from. And Russian males with tiny dicks in Tashkent City, Uzbekistan, who were in minority and idolized by most females, were treating frivolous quote-unquote women like my mother like prostitutes. So the treatment was, here, suck my dick, Here come, I'm gonna fuck you in the ass, in the vagina, in the mouth, and I don't know, I'm gonna come all over you, and you go home, and I don't want to hear from you ever again. This was the treatment. This was the love granted and given around by those fuckheads. Okay, so with this baggage, she goes into this marital relationship with my father, and I am, from now, I'm 41 years of age, 100%, not even 99.9%. No way there is a healthy woman after everything that she's gone through. There is no. She was not able to conceive because of the violence, because of the crudeness, because of the humiliation, because how she was made feel by her parents, by her society, by her girlfriends, by the males, the Russian males who were surrounding her and were the target of and the interest of her sexual desires, obviously. Or I can't even call them sexual desires, because I don't think she understood what sexual desires are all about. It was aspiration. It was an aspiration because she is Ukrainian with some Asian mix to it, Ukrainian Jewish with a little bit of Asian mix to it. And there was aspiration to, get married to an intelligent, good-looking Russian man and set up a family, get an apartment, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment, and start a normal, cushy life of professionals raising a child or two. That was an aspiration. It was an aspiration. It wasn't a target of sexual desires. It wasn't anything of sort of because of her frivolous nature. Oh no, that was just aspiration of a normal life. And instead of that, she was taught a lesson, quote unquote. Taught a lesson. Oh, how white you are. We're going to check now how white you are. We're going to maim you. We're going to poison you. We're going to make a very crude abortion by introducing as much inflammation and dirt into you so that you are going to get infected with HIV, you're going to get infected with syphilis while we are going to be doing such abortion, and you will never be able to feel orgasm in your life because we are going to botch you up in a way that will leave you an invalid for the rest of your life. And that's what was done to her. So she was not able to conceive. Obviously, it's a very aspirational marriage she's having. So she was, I'm pretty sure, she was injected with general anesthesia, or she drank some sleeping pills, whatever. Someone must have assisted that. Someone must have been paid or asked for favors, for great favors, for visa, for something else, okay? So she gets hauled into, in an unconscious state, she gets hauled into some clinic or even someone's private practice, gets injected with the sperm of my father, call it whatever you want, okay, in vitro, or I don't know, at that time it was very novel, and I can only rationalize someone getting some sort of visas or very high valued prizes for such an assistance of getting my mother under anesthesia or sleeping pills, holding her somewhere and injecting her, effectively performing an in vitro fertilization. So that's how my older brother, who was delivered in April 1982, got produced into this world. And I don't think she was prepared. My mother was not prepared to deliver a huge baby from a grown Russian dude, twice her size. She must have felt horrible because she didn't enjoy it. She didn't conceive it naturally. She didn't conceive this baby naturally. And she obviously delivered a baby boy in April 1982 who was potentially HIV infected, because of the rape and the crude abortion that she sustained prior to that, before the marriage. Okay, so the baby gets taken away. I strongly believe the baby was not a stillborn. or if it was a stillborn, it was intentional because the baby was most likely HIV infected. Okay, so the baby boy gets either slaughtered right there in the delivery ward, or he is taken away as a slaughter meat into the orphanages and the testing facilities and the soldiers and the police operations. You call it whatever you want. It was just a biomass, HIV infected biomass for slaughter somewhere else. And that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario was that he was killed just there so that he would not suffer such a fate. So this is April 1982. I was born in December 1984, her second and last pregnancy. Same thing. After everything that she sustained, 100%, 99.99999 in infinity, she did not conceive me naturally. I don't believe she knew what orgasm was. I don't believe she sexually loved and enjoyed sex. Even if my father was Brad Pitt in flesh and blood, he was so good looking, he was so healthy, etc., etc., it does not matter. Once a woman gets maimed in such a crude way and violated in so many ways, humiliated, denied very basic human dignities, that's it, you're gone. So I think she was impregnated again under the same sleeping pills or anesthesia, in vitro fertilization, and off you go, deliver me now. Okay, so I carried some inflammatory infection load, but that was not as high as my older brother, obviously, because he was delivered right after the rape and the appendicitis operation and then the crude abortion. So much of the infectionary load was dumped into my older brother, who was hopefully killed. I really hope he was just killed, but he may have been kept alive, treated, sent to orphanages, sent to army, whatever. There were so many avenues for an infected, unwanted orphan to be taken to testing facilities, you name it. It's horrible. Like, I don't even want to think about it. I honestly hope he was just killed. And then I sustained a smaller infectionary load, obviously, after some break. I was delivered more than a year and a half after her first born, my older brother. And my father must have found out or was told, help. Again, it was help. He was just a sperm donor, effectively. He was a sperm donor. I think my mother was in such a state of absence from normal life, and he did not do nothing. He did not do nothing. He did not investigate. He did not ask her. There was no connection, no rapport, no sexual, emotional, psychological, intellectual investment in the life of my mother. So he completely checked out. It was too hard for him. He was, 25 years of age, looking like Brad Pitt. He just went on fucking in greener pastures. Okay, greener pastures. I was left behind with my absent mother. She was gone. She was gone. I did not have a father. I did not have a mother. I did not have a normal conception, ideation. There was no notion of me as a human being with consciousness. I was ideated as a biomass to be given to my mother to feel like she is white, to feel like she has a baby now, and for mental support and for nursing support later on. What was done to my life, to the whole idea and concept of my life, is beyond any state, beyond any police, any jurisdiction, beyond this planet, beyond this world. I am not a human. I was denied being a human with soul and consciousness and intelligence. I was denied everything. I was denied a mother, I was denied a father, I was denied a family, I was denied a nation, ethnicity, home, country. I didn't have none of that. None of that. I had no concept of love. I have no concept of care. I did not have a concept of parental control. There was nothing. I was in a vacuum, stranded in the outer space for 41 years. And while I was stranded in the outer space, in the cold and with the absent mother, dead, tethered to me through some, I don't know, proverbial umbilical cord, okay? We were tethered like that in the outer space, and she was gone. She was gone. There was no mother, there was no female, there was no consciousness. She was gone. And I'm telling you that as a female, now after I've lived through what I've lived through, she's gone. I did not have nothing. I did not have nothing. So those doctors, I think those were women, medics, nurses, whoever, who performed 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 slaughters on behalf of, at the expense of my mother's and my life, they belong in the same court as those who perform genocide, those who slaughter masses, those who just commit the most grievous crimes, because these crimes transcend borders. These crimes transcend jurisdictions. There is no even court for them. There is no court for them. Honestly, if I would know who did that, I would not just execute them. I would just, like, you watch the most grievous, I don't know, torture out there, and I would probably perform something like that upon them, because this is the life I was given. On the surface, yes, I have this degree, that degree, I'm coming from this country, I have this passport, I have that passport, or my daddy looks like Brad Pitt, or my mommy is now married to this guy. Bullshit! Her whole life is bullshit. She is dead. I am dead. We are dead. For 41 years now, we are in the outer space with no home, no country, nothing, no nation, no ethnicity, nothing, no social circles. We have nothing. It's a vacuum for us. We are a biomass to experiment upon, and I was brought into it not even having had opportunity or chance to think about anything. Nothing. I was just, here you go, we're gonna botch cell A and cell B, botch it up, put it together, and yank you into existence so that you slow burn, so that you get tortured and you suffer your entire life. And this is my life, and this is, I don't know how to explain all of that to every single human being who wants to test me in this exam or in that exam, or wants to test my intelligence, or wants to see how I drive, how I calculate, how I behave. I have nothing. I'm not a human. I am not a human. I am a biomass being tortured for 41 years. So you're not talking to a fucking Homo sapiens here. I know nothing. I know no sex. I know no orgasm, no friendship, no mother, no father, no parental control, no love, no care, no friends, nothing. I have nothing. This is what you've done to her. And you yanked me into existence so that I drag along with her dead body. I will add to this video later on when I calm down.